Emily, it's so great to be talking with you today.
Likewise.
Before we jump into talking about your grad rep project, you're in year two of the PhD, and I would love to know what it is that you're focusing on, what you're most interested right now in your studies, anything that really has your attention.
Yeah, thank you. I feel like it's such an interesting feeling already being in year two. It goes by so fast, and when I think my current interests are very much connected to what I walked in with, and so I walked in really interested in performance through story and public performance, of ritual, of testimony and witness, of the role of performance in um, addressing anti-violence and protest work in a contemporary context, and especially the work of Black queer healing artists and performers. And I think through the journey of my first year and taking all of these other courses, I've realized there's a lot of historical and archival knowledge I'm interested in. I realize that I'm interested in questions of health and performance, and um yeah, there's it's like I have more questions than answers right now, and that feels exciting. So the themes are still there, but I think my specific focus is still it's still on its way. But it's something that I'm excited
For
to,
sure.
continue to deepen. Yeah. Yeah.
No, that's wonderful. I think the questioning is so much the exciting part of the PhD process. So I'm really heartened to hear that's where you are and that you're finding joy in the questions. Um,
Mhm.
So it sounds like some of those themes come up in your grad rep piece, but can you tell us a little bit about your grad rep project, starting with the title and then potentially a little bit of a summary of it?
Sure. So the title is A Laying of the Hands. And it's a solo performance that blends narrative, poetry, and film collage to tell the story of a young femme named Morenike who is in New York and is traveling to a hospital with high maternal mortality rates to give birth. While she's giving birth, her and her loved ones set up an altar in the hospital room. And the altar kind of comes to life and whisks her into this place in between her inhale and her exhale, where she's visited by two spirits and who help her in her journey of giving birth. So
Wow.
that's the short of the story.
Yeah. I mean, that's such an exciting story. And there's so much there that is really connected to the interest that you just talked about. Can you tell us more about the piece? Like, how have you been collaborating on it? Is it a piece that you've created yourself?
So I am the writer and I'm performing in it. And one day I would like a director. For this round, I am directing it. And I've been collaborating with two really brilliant undergrads. One, Aaron Perkins, who's working on costume, and Michael Murakami, who's been supporting with lighting and some of the projection work. Um, and yeah, so I'm doing a number of roles for this, which is mainly writing and also acting and directing.
Wow. Yeah.
Mhm.
Grad rep is
Chanel,
truly, I mean, oh,
oh, sorry.
um, no, I'm sorry. I was just saying grad rep is truly the exercise of like doing a lot of things, right? It's really the artist scholar situation, but also so many of the other roles for this piece.
Right.
Um, did you start writing it specifically for grad rep, or was this an idea that you'd had before and this seemed like the right moment to tackle the project?
Yeah, so it's so in the process of creating it, I originally thought that it was going to be something completely new for grad rep. And in the process of writing, the two characters, one who is kind of sourced from my own grandmother, Grandma Vi, and also Billie Holiday, are people that I've worked with before in other performances. And I kind of realized through working on a laying of the hands that I've been working on this project, it feels like, for maybe 5 years from different angles. Like, first, like a radio play, and then it was a solo show in a different context, and it didn't have film in the same way. And so that's something that there's new elements that were written for grad rep, but there's also elements that I feel like I've been working on for a long time. And I also feel like in the process of working on this, for grad rep, there's also ways that I want to continue to. It's a long-term project for me, where I respect like each iteration of it as its own thing, but I'm really looking to continue to work on it.
I love that. I mean, how inspiring to feel like you've been working towards this, but I mean, and I also love as someone who directs plays as well, and each iteration is new and deserves its own moment of saying, this is what it is right now. But knowing that it
Yeah,
will go on and develop to other things later too.
exactly. Yeah.
That's very exciting. Yeah. You mentioned video. Is there a video component to the piece, or what is the video component?
So there is. So there's three video collages that I've been working on, that are these like interludes within the story. And so to me, that's where the energy of the first spirit character shows up. So there's three spirits that Marina K is visited by. One being her grandma Vi, which I've said in Billie Holiday, but there's this one character who's almost like a conductor. And so they conjure up the grandmother and Billie Holiday, but they also conjure up these different images, these different archival images from the past, present, and future. Um, and I kind of want to talk a little bit about that, because there's,
Please.
as I'm working on it, it feels like it's been helping me refine the story of the show. So for example, I found these clips from a show called Now is the Time, from Ossie Davis and Ruby Dee. And I feel like it was in the 1970s. I can't remember the exact year right now, but they basically are both reading or performing different aspects, or different poems from Langston Hughes, different slave narratives interspersed with these interviews of Black children in Philadelphia, of activists, and like really trying to like contend with history and Black history. And so I used clips of that, and then also working on this project, images of my research of my family within archives. And so my grandma Vi, kind of as an entry point, actually I went to ancestry.com. And it's funny because they ask you, isn't this exciting to know how your family got here? And I was like, oh, interesting. And I started to notice like these are records of my family, in which my great grandmother is in one census, called Maddie Ward, and every other census called Mary Ward. And so there's this moment where someone misspelled her name, and so there's like these interesting things of being like my own family lineage and what is muted within the archive, what's difficult to find. And so I'm wrestling with that too within the films, which feels exciting too. Yeah, hope that.
Definitely. Wow. I mean, the discovery's on so many levels. And it's
Mhm.
really always interesting to me to see how we bring the personal and the personal exploration into our work because we can't separate ourselves as
Right.
artists when we're creating. Sometimes we want to in different ways, but the way that you're bringing yourself and your family into the story is really exciting to see. For
Mhm.
the video collage, are you doing that? How has that video collaboration looked?
Yeah, so those videos, so there's had to, in its original formation, it was going to be projected on stage, and because of the pivot to virtual, um, there's different considerations on how that will be done, but it's visually kind of, the intention is for it to be projected onto my body, while I'm performing a ritual to prepare my character, which is, blended into me. It's me and not me. Is preparing this ritual to give birth while these projections are happening. And these projections really are a connection or a way for this character to connect to their ancestors by blood, but also by choice, but also by art. So there's Nina Simone at one point, and she's singing "Take Me to the Water." And in the beginning, she dedicates it to Lorraine Hansberry, her dear friend who passed away at 34 from cancer. And James Baldwin has this quote about her, and I wrote it down because he says, "It is not far fetched to suspect that what she saw contributed to the strain which killed her, for the effect to for the effort to which Lorraine was dedicated was enough to kill a man." And that, to me, that's within the moment of Nina Simone singing "Take Me to the Water" for her friend who passed away at a young age. And we know, the statistics of Black femmes, Black folks giving birth in hospitals in this country. And so to me, the videos are also through art say, like, this is not the first time, it's tracing a lineage as well of protest and also of survival, but also addressing these systemic issues that do lead to loss of life, but also then the role of healing and art within that. And so these videos are kind of speaking to that and also allowing for the performer to be visually silent while these videos play on stage.
Yeah. Wow. I mean, thank you for sharing that. And it's really, I mean, powerful to see the lineage within which you were building work, but also the way that you're bringing these different voices into the conversation to show how history has affected the present moment and how the present moment is then shaping, and also how healing is playing into it. I think healing is a word that I don't feel like I hear often enough in the art world. And I would love to know more of how you feel like healing can be something that is revealed in art or how art can be used for healing, if
Yeah,
that's something that's interesting for you.
yeah, I love that question. I think working on this performance as well, I've done a lot of different performance in my life. I actually started doing stand-up comedy, which I'm not a stand-up comic anymore, but I did do stand-up comedy, but then that led me to poetry. And before poetry shows, I was part of a youth poetry group. And before we would go out, like, we would always kind of like hype each other up and get excited before we went out. And I remember the poetry mentor would always say, even if one, like, this is a competition, but even if one person hears your words and feels like changed by them or inspired by them, or even just like a moment of hope in a really like intense world, like, that's what it's about. And that, to me, is still at the core of my work. And before these past 2 years, like, so much is happening. I feel like a lot of people are saying that. And to me, the art has been healing for myself. And I hope to, offer some of that to the audience as well.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. It makes me want to take a breath and like really just
Yeah.
see in this moment of the work that you're making. And I mean, I know that everyone listening and myself, we're really excited to see what this looks like and to sort of be able to be witness to this production that you're making, but also the people that you're bringing into the production as the audience you're bringing us in, but also this really just rich and beautiful history that you're gesturing towards, and then also addressing very real harm that has been done and continues to be done. So I'm just a lot of emotions as you're talking about sort of the intersections that you're bringing here, but also reminded of the ways that art allows us to confront all of these things simultaneously. Um,
Right.
yeah, there wasn't a question there yet, but I'm wondering if, as sort of I'm thinking through the things that you've talked about, are there aspects of the piece that we haven't talked about yet that you feel are something that someone who's listening, who's going to see the show, might want to know more about, or questions that they might have, that you feel comfortable sort of revealing before the production is seen?
Hmm. I Let me marinate on that question. I
For
I think
sure.
that something that I am thinking of too, and the fact that this is virtual, that I do want to speak to. is the work of like disability justice advocates and artists and scholars, like the work of Dr. Sami Schalk, and there's who just wrote. Oh my goodness, I know this is live. Maybe we could put this in the notes, but she just published a really amazing book on Black disability history, and there's something um, to me about being virtual and the pivot that a lot of shows had to make in March 2020. Like I remember, and I'm sure you remember this too, like things that I had lined up were canceled and things were quickly pivoted to Zoom or not at all, and it was a really intense time. And revisiting switching to Zoom for, to me, what's such a personal piece, um, is also an opportunity to honor that time and honor how that time still echoes in a lot of people's lives today, where a lot of folks are having to stay virtual. Um, and before the pandemic, right, we're creating communities virtually through the screen. And so to me, that's something that I want to invite to for folks who are coming to, I don't think, if they're watching from home, like get cozy, have some tea, have the thing that helps you watch something and feel present. Maybe have a journal, maybe have a couple people over. Um, like I really want, something I've been curious about too is how to have community. That's something that I love about performance too, talking after the show, talking before the show, connecting with audience members. And so I would love to still have that present for this performance. That, I hope that answers that question a little bit, but yeah.
Definitely. Well, and I think we're still, I mean, we keep using the term, society keeps using the term
Yeah.
post-pandemic. I mean, we're still very much in a pandemic. But
Right.
I occasionally get sad that it feels like some of the things we learned during the height of COVID, about making work virtually, about finding community in different ways. Sometimes to me, it feels like, oh, we lost that a little bit. We like went back in person and we've lost some of those things that we did that made work more accessible or that made people feel like, oh, I can do this in a different way. And so it's really, I'm heartened to hear the ways that you're bringing up, like, yes, you can watch the show, you can honor how you're feeling, you can be present in different ways. And it's just a reminder of those lessons that we'd learned that we should continue, I think, to remind ourselves in the arts. And the way that we're able to do this right now, this pivot that we are talking virtually and we're in conversation and we're in community together. That's not,
Mhm.
nothing is taken away from that by us being virtual right now. So just really rich reminders. I know that we're nearing the end of our time together right now, but I was hoping if there are either anything that you want to sort of signal of maybe what you would want an audience to walk away from this show thinking about, or if there are any connections you want to make to the work that you're doing, because this it was the work of an artist scholar. If there are any other connections you want to make. Um, and even if there are other shout outs for books, I know that you gave us a book title that I think we should all check out, but
Mhm.
other people whose work you're in conversation with. So I've given several options here for our last minutes together, but I would love to go wherever you are most interested.
Thank you. I think maybe I can see if I can answer all three kind of in a wave. I think, the work, some of the books that I've been reading alongside for this have been Salt Eaters, the novel Salt Eaters by Toni K. Bambara, um, Oceanic Age by Habiba Ibrahim, Visitations, which is about Black feminist film by, oh, we might have to also put her name in the notes, but that is a great book. And all of these films, I think, talk about age and performance and time. And that, I think, has also been the scholarly part of this performance, of looking at edges of time, looking at repetition, um, looking at shifts and small changes and big changes personally, and connecting that, rippling through time as well. And to me, that's what I would love the audience to walk away with. And something that you mentioned too, Marina, is looking at, what are the shifts in accessibility and care, that we had glimmers of in 2020, and how can those how can we hold on to those, as we move forward in an ongoing pandemic. And so that feels important to me too, for people to also be looking at that ripples of care for each other. And also, to me, another interesting point too is looking at their own lineages of, chosen ancestry, and maybe also blood ancestry if they're comfortable, and thinking about that as well is something that I'm passionate about.
Yes, Emily, I mean, thank you so much for this. I love getting to talk to you. I love getting to hear about your work, and I know that everyone listening will hopefully be able to log in to watch your piece, and I'm so excited for it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.